report. Now, remember, I already do an evening Live Your Truth podcast. I added this Sharecropper report to introduce myself to all of you. My name is Taibu Mu'addib, as you can see with the microphone in the back, that I'm a podcaster, but I'm also a coach and a speaker. And I want you to know that I'm not on here to, tingle your ears with some kind of, made up success story or with some sort of government handout. It's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to talk to you about the system that most of you are living in right now, the system of sharecropping. And the problem with that is that that system is set up to bring you further and further into debt. If you are upside down with your finances, you're a sharecropper. If you're a tenant leasing an apartment or a home, you're a sharecropper. You're involved in the sharecrop system. If your parents or other loved ones, husband, wife, partner, left you a debt, you're a sharecropper. So how to get out in front of those things? We're gonna let Mr. Rendel Johnson today. Make sure that you guys go over there and follow me on YouTube and my Facebook page, First Step Coaching. Make sure you follow that. All right. I want to see you guys over here where I'm making it happen. Now, TikTok, y'all a blessing to me. They don't let me message you guys no more due to community violations. But the bottom line is, I give you guys on TikTok an extra few minutes, but I am exclusively on Facebook at First Step Coaching when I'm doing the Sharecropper report and my YouTube channel, Taibu Mu'addib 4019. All right. Shout out to my family over here on Instagram at Taibu2Rise and Coach Taibu. All right. Let me go over here straight to the screen share because that's what's important. I want to get to the screen share. I want to get to the information as quickly as possible. Rendel Solomon does a TEDx speech, Sharecropper to Shareholder. And that's the message today, from sharecropper to shareholder. How to go from a system where you're going to be in more debt and more debt over time to a system where you're beginning to bring in residual income more and more over time and become financially free. Let's see what this young man has to say to us. If you can't hear it that well over here, um, Facebook at First Step Coaching, or on YouTube at Taibu Mu'addib 19, and that's on you. I'm gonna go ahead and screen share it to watch the full episode with all the full effects, screen in, screen, so you can get the message. Definitely go ahead and follow me. So this is where it's at right now. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and give that to you guys so you have it. Two ways to watch the full episode at Taibu Mu'addib. I'm live right now on YouTube at Taibu Mu'addib 4019 over on YouTube. Delicate, delicate process. Let's go. Yes. Pin this comment up there just so you guys have it. All right. Same as here. Just giving this to you guys so you guys know where to reach me at and how to look at the, because you might not have time right now. Um, but if you get time later, you definitely want to subscribe to my YouTube channel just to not miss any of the action. All right. It's just the smartest thing to do. Okay. All right. Let's see what the young man has to say.
Sharecropper to shareholder. This short yet powerful phrase holds great significance for me and my family.
Sorry. My bad. I had no idea where that was coming from. Found it. We're good now.
It's a story of hope, inspiration, empowerment, opportunity, and ownership. See, today,
Ownership. So let's define sharecropping, the system of sharecropping. The system of sharecropping by which many of you are living under, the system of sharecropping it was started post-slavery. So once slavery was ended, the landowners had to figure out how to continue to get value from their land. And they instituted a system called sharecropping. So sharecroppers attempted to make a living wage by leasing and becoming a tenant on this land, and by working the land and getting crops, getting a yield from the crops and keeping some for themselves. All right. So I broke down for you guys the modern day version of sharecropping. When you lease an apartment or a home, you're generally paying renter's insurance. In Texas, you definitely have to for most places. So you're paying your lease, you're paying renter's insurance, you're paying heat and gas, you're paying the light and electric, you're paying the utilities beyond that, be it cable, be it trash pickup, whatever, things of that nature. You're paying for a port, any kind of delivery service you have. Just to live, you're paying all these things, all of these different things just to have shelter. The other two essentials, food and clothing, aren't even in that. So you can see how, as a sharecropper, you're just in a system where you're just going to become more and more deeply into debt. So this young man today is going to talk to you. I've talked to you last couple of reports. Let this young man bless us today with talking about how to go from being a sharecropper to a shareholder. I'm gonna kill this live over here. I'm gonna kill this live over here before I really give you the full measure of it, just so I can move on with it. All right. Tough giving, folks. The real. All right. Let's go with this morning's Sharecroppers Report. This is Mr. Rendel Solomon giving us his version of going from sharecropper to shareholder. All right. Let's go.
Phrase holds great significance for me and my family. It's a story of hope, inspiration, empowerment, opportunity, and ownership. You see, today's theme of no limits speaks directly to what I'm going to share with you today. It's about not placing limits on ourselves, our families, but most importantly, one of our most precious resources, our children. You see, my journey has taken me from the West Garfield Park neighborhood here in Chicago to the Latin school where I graduated in 1996 and now serve on the board, to Tulane where I studied engineering, to Procter & Gamble for my first job, to New York to get my MBA at Columbia Business School, and now back to Chicago where I work as a private equity investor at a firm that manages over $1 billion. Now, that's not exactly where my story started. It goes back before the West Side. But there's no data that you could have viewed that would have predicted that I'd be standing here today. Least of all, wearing this fancy blue suit and this little red circle. This is a sharecropping family from the 1800s. For those unfamiliar with the term sharecropper, these were families that picked cotton in fields on behalf of landowners and were provided meager wages and a place to live.
There it is. Can't say any better than that. You are renting, leasing space provided by a landowner, and you're making, I'm pretty sure, a meager wage to try to eke out a living, to try to pay for your food and your clothing after everything else that you pay just to live there, just to exist on this landowner's property. This is how serious it is. Couldn't have said any better. Let's go, Mr. Solomon.
It was the next iteration of slavery in our country. It evokes feelings of fear, misery, hopelessness. These are two obituaries. No need to start crying. This is Dave Barnard, born in 1885. And Kathleen Shorter Barnard, born in 1910. 1885, just 20 years after the end of the Civil War and the supposed end of slavery. They also happen to be my great-grandparents. You see, they were sharecroppers in Mississippi, in a small town called Ruleville. They had 8 children, and number 4 is sitting with us in this room today. Her name is Ruby Riley, my grandmother, AKA Granny. I post online about Granny all the time. So she comes out and I bring her to these events and everybody runs up to her and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm the one speaking today. You see, Granny picked cotton in those fields as a young child with her siblings and her cousins so that their family could have a place to live. And like millions of African Americans during the 1950s, as she grew up, they wanted to come north in search of better opportunity. And they fled the South, moved north as part of the Great Migration. And they settled in Chicago in the North Lawndale neighborhood before ultimately buying a home in Austin. The picture you see here is my granny, her husband, my late grandfather, I call him Papa. His name is Kerry Riley. And the 3 kids are my mother, my aunt, and my uncle. It's my mother you see highlighted there. And Granny was focused on providing food, shelter, and clothing for her kids. She wanted to protect them. You see, she barely got high school education. But through all of that hard work, her 3 children did finish high school. My mom went on to marry my father, whom she met at Lindblom, and they went on to have 3 children. I'm the oldest. I have a younger sister, Quinessa, and my baby sister, Adrian. She's 30, but I still call her my baby sister. And so my mom, like the focus that her mother had before her, also focused on food, shelter, and clothing. We had limited economic resources in the household. She worked 2 jobs for as long as I could remember.
And there it is. I'm telling you, he's talking. This guy is a private equity investor, but he didn't come from that. He said mom worked 2 jobs for as long as he could remember. His mom, not his dad, people, his mom. Clearly his dad was there. You look at the guy, you can tell he was raised in a 2-parent household, but I'm just saying, his mom. He said, my mom worked 2 jobs for as long as I can remember to provide food, clothing, and shelter. Just the 3 things. So what do I do from the first step coaching? With first step coaching. First step coaching is a springboard. I use the EFC workbook, my number 1 publication. It's a change agent. So when you guys tap in and begin to reach out for first step coaching to Taibu Mu'addib, this is the kind of counseling, of coaching, of motivating that I do with you as far as your finances is concerned. But let's be real. Many of you suffer from low emotional intelligence. I myself did and didn't know what it was. How can you treat an illness that you haven't diagnosed? So the morning sharecropper report is to remind you that you are stuck in a system, indeed, that's going to keep you further and further in debt. It's going to drag you further and further in debt. And how that affects your mind, how it affects your physical body to the negative, right? Then we're going to talk more about how to come up out of that thing. Like today, sharecropper to shareholder. And I'm just sharing this with you because many of you are trying to tell people like me that reach out to you or that send emails or put ads online and say, hey, I can help you. You're like, oh, I don't need help. You don't want to be financially free. You don't want to work on yourself. You don't want to try to meet somebody that has the licensing, the education experience to coach you through a 6-month course curriculum that's going to build you and give you the skill sets that you need to stop thinking the way that you do, because it's your thinking that's keeping you poor. Everybody knows that. You want to live a beautiful life like me, this brother right here, you're going to have to get some coaching. You're going to have to add some skill sets. You're going to have to change. I'm here this morning for your successful transformation. That's all you guys get over here on Instagram at Coach Taibu. Sharing this, getting this out there. Bam. All right. Going hard over here. Going live on my different platforms and pages just so folks can know I don't play no games. All right. To watch the full episode, to see the picture in picture, please like and follow First Step Coaching over on Facebook or follow my page, Taibu Mu'addib 4019, over on YouTube. All right. This morning, Sharecropper the Shareholder is deep. Sharecroppers, many of you are dealing with it. And when you look at the fact that whatever wages that you bring in, that you're paying out to owners, people own the grocery store um, uh, that you buy your food from. They own the clothing store and department stores you buy your clothing from. They own the place that you're leasing your shelter from. You're a tenant. So the bottom line is, until you own your own business, own stocks, own something, you're never a peer. You're owned. You people own you. Your life is you're owned. That means you're a sharecropper. If you don't have a business platform online where you have subscriptions, which is basically a business, you're owned. You're completely owned. Wake up. This morning's sharecropper report is for you. All the people that you pay money into, they own you. You are completely owned. You are a sharecropper. He put a picture up of sharecroppers after slavery. He said his great grandparents were sharecroppers. And he migrated north eventually. But I'm just saying, the bottom line is, so he knows what he's talking about. This link will be available for those of you that reach out to me. If you want to hear Mr. more about Rendel Solomon and his Sharecropper, the Shareholder speech on TEDx. But the bottom line is, in the mornings, I'm bringing this Sharecropper report just to remind you people that you are, and that you're stuck in a system that's going to leave you further in debt, leave your kids in debt. People speak about generational wealth, but nobody's talking about generational debt and sharecropping, except Taibu Mu'addib. I want to be your coach. I'm ready to coach your success. I am. I live a beautiful life. And that's because I became conscious. I began investing in myself and investing overall in people around me. I have a great network. And so I'm successful now. So I appreciate you guys for sticking with me. I've been down. I'm going through this flu thing. I'm coming out of it. Some of my shows I don't pop in there for. I missed my Live Your Truth last night. I'm gonna get that back going again. But the bottom line is, this morning, it's about you guys. If you do not own anything, you are owned. You are completely immersed in the system of sharecropping. It's the new slavery. Just ask somebody or listen to my man here.
But that didn't stop her. She didn't allow the neighborhood, the crime, the poverty, the lack of resources to stop her from focusing on something that perhaps Granny wasn't quite prepared to push, and that's education. And so my mom, given those limited resources, was still able to put 3 children through college. Me from Tulane, both of my younger sisters from the University of Illinois. I then went on to Columbia, as I said earlier, to get my MBA. Now, my middle sister had the first child of the family, my little niece Cadence that you see there. But before that, something unfortunate happened in my life. I lost my mother, Granny's daughter, February 19th, 2006. That was a Sunday. My sister called me that Thursday and said, Rendel, you need to come home. I said, is this really the time? See, Mom had been sick for a while, and I couldn't afford to fly home every single time she went to the hospital. My sister said, yep, this is the time you need to come home. Wasn't able to get home that Friday, flew home that Saturday. My mother passed on that Sunday. About a year later, my sister learns that she's pregnant. Take one guess what the due date was. February 19th, 2006. Didn't happen that way because Cadence is a little stubborn.
Now, the man started the speech out by saying his mom's mom was in the audience, but his mom wasn't. So I don't know about the whole background story, but it could be said that working 2 jobs can break the body down. mental illnesses that come from high anxiety and depression or just high stress, severe. Many of you, I've talked to many of you. I've in last year and a half, I was in corporate fitness, helping many people decide to reinvest in opportunities that will help them get in physical shape. I'm online now to do both, but mainly I understand that many of you mentally can't get there because you have all this other stress under the sharecropper system. You can't free yourself up from this sharecropper system enough to work on your physical health. He just said it. My grandma, my mom's mom is in the audience. I post about it all the time, but my mom passed away. Is working 2 jobs your whole life a death sentence? It could be. It could be. Are you working 2 jobs right now with no hope, no end in sight? Inbox me. Click on the link in the description. Register to get your gold ticket. Get all the free stuff I'm giving between now and Christmas. All the information, all the resources that you can. I don't want you guys sharecropping any longer. I want you guys to own some stuff. All right, let's go.
And she was born February 21st of 2008. As I thought about my experiences over all those years, college, throughout high school, back to Chicago where I was now working, I thought about how could I take the next step to move my family forward? And I said I was going to pour everything into this young girl. See, I don't have any kids right now, so she gets spoiled at this time. But I became the uncle that was going to buy her more functional gifts and not just toys. Didn't always make me the most popular uncle, but she'll be okay. I bought her books to read, a globe so she could think about traveling the world. I started a college savings plan since birth so she wouldn't have to face some of the financial challenges that I had in college. And the most profound moment came about 2 years ago. I decided to buy Cadence shares in Nike, Apple, and Disney. And to explain to her what that meant, I walked her into each store just down the street here in Chicago on Michigan. Nike Town, Apple Store, Disney Store. At the time, they were right next to each other. And I said, Cadence, you own this store now. Everything here is yours. The toys, the dolls, the basketballs, the laptops, the phones. Everything here is yours. This cashier works for you. Cashier didn't find that as funny as I thought it was. And then Cadence responds, cool, Uncle Ren. Do I get free stuff now? I said, it doesn't quite work that way, Cadence. You're a shareholder, not a thief. Sometimes that's synonymous. But then she said, Uncle Ren, do I make money when people buy stuff? I said, what? She's 8 years old at this point, guys. Do I make money when people buy stuff? I said, you kind of do. Let me explain that. A couple weeks later, I said, Cadence, how you doing? Have you looked up your stock, see how they're doing? Yep, I want some more. Well, what do you want? More of what you already have, or do you want a different stock? Now I can talk to her about diversification. She said, I want Starbucks. I said, why? Who 8-year-old wants Starbucks? She said, well, my mommy buys coffee from there all the time, and I saw that their stock was up today. Good enough for me. I get Cadence some Starbucks stock. A couple weeks later, she's in a Starbucks with her mother, my sister, and she grabs her mother by the arm and says, Mommy, you know I own this place a little bit. Mommy, you know I own this place a little bit. It was at that time that I had this very simple yet magnificent idea. I said, if I can get an 8-year-old to think about ownership from the simple act of giving her shares, then why can't I do that with 10 more kids, 100 more, 1,000 more? And
all right. So I've reached pretty much my time. I start around 8 o'clock. I go for about a half an hour. So again, to watch this full video from this brother Rendel Solomon and his TEDx talk, Sharecropper, the shareholder, or to see the full effects, watch picture in picture, to hear more from me, to see the other reports that you missed, my Sharecropper reports I've done before this one, and to make sure you don't miss another one. All right. I want you guys to understand that I want to make sure that I'm available to coach you. It can start a couple different ways. In the description on my YouTube channel and over on Facebook, you'll see the link to download my number one publication, which is the EFC workbook. Take that seriously. Download the EFC workbook. It will begin to open your mind to the possibilities of where you're going. All right. The main thing that the EFC workbook does is it helps you to pinpoint where you're going. Many of you are struggling with not knowing where you're at or where you're going. The EFC workbook does that, right? And if you have a problem pinpointing that, I'm going to reach out to you anyway. But the bottom line is, make sure that you jump in there, you get the EFC workbook, make sure that you look it through, make sure you apply yourself to it, especially the introduction. The bottom line is, you don't want to go in 2024 sharecropping, especially when this young man says he taught his 8-year-old niece simply by getting her shares how to think about ownership. I'm Taibu Mu'addib. I wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you for joining me on TikTok. Follow me on Facebook, the First Step Coaching page. All right. Follow me, at YouTube, Taibu Mu'addib 4019. I want to help you. I want to have a conversation with you at least. The consultation call is free. It's 15 minutes. How can you not benefit from 15 minutes talking to me when I'm linked to information like this, when I'm linking you to information like this? Small steps towards big ownership and big reward. Small steps consistently and over time will help you break that cycle, will help you finally rise above and break out of this system of sharecropping. All right. Thank you guys very much. See you tonight. See you tonight for Live Your Truth. You don't want to miss Live Your Truth. All right. Live Your Truth, the Civil War series. We're going to talk about Honey Boo Boo and her passing early. The Civil War series, how you're fighting with yourselves to make this first step. You don't want to miss it. Taibu Mu'addib. Nobody's more motivated or entertained than I am. Let's go. That's the show. So, just making sure that this whole thing is being done properly and getting in there. Mr. Rendel Solomon is definitely put us up on game on what's going on. We're posting this. Everybody should know that this is something I'm passionate about, that young brother's passionate about, obviously. But again, I want to make sure that I'm tapping you guys in to the kind of information that you need. All right. To finish off, this morning we went over, for this morning's Sharecropper report, we touched on their brother Rendel Solomon's own personal story of how he became passionate about ownership and about teaching people about ownership. We also covered what a sharecropper is. He covered it a little bit, and I cover it every morning. When you're sharecropping, you're involved in a system that's going to lead you further and further into debt. Everybody's screaming generational wealth. I'm screaming generational poverty and debt, because that's the more likely thing that's going to happen if we don't discuss it like that. Okay? That's happening now. You're trying to make a living wage while paying somebody to live on their land. You pay renter's insurance, heat and gas, light and electric, other utilities, just to have shelter. That can run you into the thousands. Many of you is running you into the thousands just to have this shelter. That doesn't include the food and clothing. And we all know how these grocery prices are hidden. A couple months ago, they was hitting. Eggs was hitting. Eggs, of all things. I love eggs. And if you were affected negatively by these things and found yourself going without, it should let you know it's time to elevate. So we covered that. Mr. Rendel Solomon is a private equity investor. Listen to him. All right. I'm a licensed certified goal achievement coach. All right. If you have goals you're struggling with, if you have obstacles and stand in the way of your goals, I'm the guy. All right. I'm the guy. So reach out to me, inbox me, follow me on my pages and platforms. Download my #1 publication, the EFC Workbook. It's the change agent that I've been using for the last 3 years exclusively to help hundreds of clients rise up, to elevate, to achieve their goals. What I've been known for lately is helping people to achieve their goals in a record number of time, in record time, fast as possible. Things that took them years to accomplish were accomplished in 6 months or less. You want to reclaim your physical health and fitness? I specialize there. Transitioning and functional goals, life goals, accept no substitute. Taibu Mu'addib, thank you for coming this morning. All I do is motivate.